Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Mathematics Telikilaas. As you know that in this class we are discussing types of transformation. So these are the types of transformation: translation, reflection, rotation and enlargement. We have already completed translation and reflection. So before I move on to today's lesson, I would like to recall what we have done in translation and reflection. So translation is sliding of an object with respect to a given vector. Here the important thing is the vector, because vector gives direction and movement of the object. Second type of transformation is reflection. A reflection is a mirror image of the shape. The line of reflection is called the mirror line. So when describing translation, you have to mention the word translation and the vector. Likewise, when describing reflection, you have to state the word reflection and equation of the mirror line. Now by looking at these two diagrams, you know that today we are going to do rotations. So the rotation word itself means it's turning of an object around a specific point. Okay, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to draw rotations, identify and describe rotations. Now let's look at mathematical definition of rotation. As I have mentioned earlier, the word rotation means rotating of an object around a fixed point. But in mathematics, with the word rotation, we have to make it more specific. So let's see the mathematical definition of rotation. A rotation is a transformation that turns a figure about a fixed point called center of rotation. An object and its rotation are the same shape and size, but the figure may be turned in different direction. And when describing rotation, you need to mention an angle or degree of turn. It could be 90 degrees or 180 degrees. And then a direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise. And center of rotation, that is a point around which object rotates. Okay, here is our example. We have to rotate the triangle 90 degrees clockwise about the given point. So when you are asked to draw a rotation, they will give the detail of the rotation. For example, how much you are going to rotate the shape. Here it's 90 degrees, and which direction you are going to rotate it. It's clockwise direction, and from where you are going to rotate it. So here I am going to demonstrate how to draw the rotation using tracing paper. So what I am going to do here is I am going to place the tracing paper over the shape and then trace the outline. Now I am going to mark the center of rotation and draw a vertical arrow here. You might wonder why I am drawing an arrow here. It is very important to draw this arrow because it will show you how many degrees you are turning your tracing paper or you are rotating your tracing paper. For example, if the question asks you to rotate 90 degree clockwise, you have to place your pencil point or compass point at this point at the center and then rotate it 90 degree clockwise. When we rotate the tracing paper 90 degree clockwise, as you can see, this vertical arrow becomes horizontal. Okay, now let's go back to our example. Our example says that we have to draw 90 degree anti-clockwise rotation about the point. So I have already drawn the center. Now let's rotate this triangle according to our question. It says 90° clockwise. Let's see where our image will be. So when the arrow becomes horizontal, it shows that you have rotated your tracing paper 90 degrees. Now when you rotate this triangle, this is your object, your image will appear here. This is where the image is. Okay, now I am going to show you what I did just now. So I placed tracing paper over the object, then I traced outline, then rotated it 90 degrees clockwise. Here is the image. As you can see, the object and image stays the same size after rotation. Our example 2, a rotation of 90 degrees anti-clockwise about 0,0. Do you notice any difference between these two examples? Yes, because the center is given as a point. That is because when we are going to perform any rotation on a coordinate grid, the center of rotation will be given as coordinates. Here is our object. We have to rotate it 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So I am going to follow the same steps using tracing paper. You can do this in your exam as well. So the first step is I am going to place the tracing paper over the object and then trace the outline onto the tracing paper. Now from where we have to rotate it? Okay, the center is 0,0. It's here. You mark the center and then draw a vertical arrow. Okay, now we have to rotate this tracing paper 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise rotation is we have to rotate this tracing paper left side like this. Now this is where the image goes when you rotate the triangle over here. Now to draw the image, what you are going to do is you are going to step each corners and then remove your tracing paper and draw the shape. Okay, let's see what I have done here. Okay, I am going to place the tracing paper over the shape, then trace the outline, then I mark the center, the arrowhead, and now I am going to rotate the tracing paper 90 degrees anti-clockwise. That's where the image goes when you rotate the triangle 90 degrees anti-clockwise about 0,0. Okay students, now this is your turn. You have to rotate this triangle 180 degrees about 0,0. As you are going to follow the same steps, I am going to show you how you are going to carry out this rotation. So the first thing you are going to do is you are going to place a tracing paper over the shape, mark the center of rotation, that is 0, 0. Now you draw a vertical arrow from the center, then you trace the outline of the shape onto the tracing paper. Now we have to rotate the paper, right? But which direction we are going to rotate it? As it is 180 degrees about 0, 0. Here it is not mentioned whether we have to rotate it clockwise or anti-clockwise. Now look at this angle, it is 180 degrees. As you know that a complete turn is 360 degrees, 180 is half turn. So whichever direction you rotate it, the image will end up in the same position. Okay, now I am going to rotate this tracing paper anti-clockwise. So to rotate this tracing paper, you place your compass point or pencil point at the center, then rotate it 180 degree. Okay, how you know that you have rotated it 180 degrees? Now look at this arrowhead. Now look at this arrow. Before rotating it, it is facing upward, right? Now after 180 degrees rotation, now the arrow is facing vertically downward. The angle over here is 180 degrees. So your image is here. Okay, next part of the lesson is describing rotation. So when you describe a rotation, you have to give the center of rotation, the amount of turn or the angle of rotation, the direction of rotation, clockwise or anti-clockwise. Okay, here is our example. Describe fully the single transformation that maps flag A, B, C, D to flag A prime, B prime, C prime and D prime. So this is your object and this one is your image. So before we describe any type of transformation, we have to identify what type of transformation it is. So when we look at the image and the object, we know that it is not a translation, because translation is sliding of an object. So in translation, the orientation of the shape doesn't change, but here it seems the orientation of image is changed. And let's see whether it is reflection or not. The object and image doesn't look like it's flipped, so it is not either reflection. Therefore it must be a rotation. So when describing a rotation, you have to be very specific. You have to state the word rotation and then how much it has rotated, that is the angle of rotation, and in which direction it has rotated, also from where the object is rotated. Now by looking at the object and image, we know that it is rotated from here to here. So it is clockwise rotation. Now we know that direction of rotation is clockwise. Okay, to find the angle and center of rotation, there are two methods. One method is you can join the corresponding points and draw line bisector of this 2 points. We are not going to use this method here because line bisecting is not in your syllabus anymore. So here we are going to use trial and error method. Let's see how we are going to find the center of rotation. I am going to place the tracing paper over the object and then trace the outline of the object onto the tracing paper. Now I am going to make a guess where the center could be. I am going to start with 0, 0. Since it is clockwise rotation, I am going to rotate tracing paper clockwise. So if this is center of rotation, when I rotate the paper, the traced shape will exactly fit on top of the image. As you can see here, this is not the center of rotation. Okay, go back again. Now try another point. This time I am going to try this point. It's 1, 1. Now I am going to rotate the tracing paper tracing paper clockwise direction. As you can see here, this is not the point either. Now go back. Now I am going to try a different point. This time 0, 1. Now rotate your tracing paper clockwise. As you can see here, when I rotate this tracing paper, it exactly fits on the image. That means the center of this center of rotation is this point, that is 0, 1. That's how trial and error method works. So now we know that this is clockwise rotation, and we know that the center is 0, 1. Now we need to find angle of rotation. To do this, place your tracing paper over the object and trace the outline. Now we know that center is 0, 1. You are going to draw an arrow at the center. Now place your pencil point or compass point at the center and rotate it clockwise. As you can see here, now look at the arrow. Before rotation, it's a vertical line, vertical. Now it's horizontal. That means you have rotated it 90 degrees. So now we know that direction of the rotation is clockwise, center is 0, 1, angle is 90 degrees. This is how you are going to write the answer. Rotation 90 degrees clockwise about the point 0, 1. Okay, here is an examination question. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Here single is in bold because you have to write one specific transformation and describe it in detail. Here you cannot write rotation and translation, just one type of transformation and describe it in detail. Okay, let's see how we are going to describe this transformation. First, you are going to identify what type of transformation is this. As you can see this is rotation, but to make it more specific or describe it fully, you have to mention the center, the angle and the direction of rotation. Question says triangle A onto B means triangle A is the object and triangle B is the image. So from here to here, it's moving from here to here. So we know that it is anti-clockwise rotation. Now we are going to find center and angle of rotation. So to find the center of rotation, I am going to use tracing paper. Put the tracing paper over the object and then you trace the outline of the object onto the tracing paper. Now you are going to guess where the center could be. I am going to start with this point, and we know that it is anti-clockwise rotation. So I am going to rotate tracing paper this direction. If this is the center, the image will what we have drawn here will exactly fit on top of the image. So this is not the center of rotation. We are going to go back and try another point. So let's try this point. Now to rotate this, place your pencil point here at the center and rotate your tracing paper. As you can see, this outline exactly fits on top of the image. That means the center of rotation is here. Now from the grid, it is -6, -2. Now we need to find angle of rotation. So to find angle of rotation also we are going to use tracing paper. Place your tracing paper over the object. Draw the outline. Now we know this is the center. You are going to draw a vertical arrow at the center and then turn your tracing paper anti-clockwise till the outline fits exactly on top of your image. As you can see, before we carry out this rotation, the arrow is vertical. Now it is horizontal. That means it's 90 degrees rotation. This is how you are going to write your answer. First you have to state which type of transformation it is. Here it's rotation. So if it is rotation, you have to write how much it has rotated, that is the angle, and which direction it has rotated. Here it is anti-clockwise, and from where it is rotated, that is the center of rotation, -6, -2. As you can see here, this is 3 marks. You get 1 mark for writing the word rotation, 1 mark for writing the angle and the direction, and 1 mark for writing the center of rotation. If it is 180 degree rotation, even if you don't mention the direction of rotation, you get 3 marks, because in 180-degree rotation, whether you are rotating it clockwise or anti-clockwise, the object will end up in the same position. So it's fine if you don't mention the direction also. And if the rotation is 180 degrees, you get 1 mark for writing the word rotation, 1 mark for writing the angle, and 1 mark for writing the center of rotation. That's all about rotation. Let's see what we have done, what we have discussed here. A rotation is a transformation that turns a figure about a fixed point called the center of rotation. To describe a rotation, you need to give the center of rotation, the angle of rotation, and the direction of turn. Here is your task. Exercise 23.2, page 563. That's all for today's lesson. Assalamu alaikum.